När jag fick frågan om jag ville ha det här jobbet ikväll så fick jag också en fråga om jag ville, eller vilken internationell stjärna jag ville bjuda in för en intervju. Och då var det ett ganska lätt val för mig. Hon är en av BBC:s största stjärnor. Hon leder det dagliga current affairs-programmet Newsnight. Det har hon gjort i över 20 år och det programmet stod en gång modell för Agenda, där jag jobbar. Hon har intervjuat de flesta av världens politiska ledare och fixstjärnor och hon är väldigt outspoken och charmig. Här är Kirsty Wark. I saw that Karen has been translating. So you.
And I'm so sorry I don't speak Swedish. I speak Scottish, but I don't speak Swedish. So
I've told you to speak slowly. Yes, because sometimes it's.
But I want to say congratulations because I think you've got such a healthy, free, independent journalism here.
Thank you. You came to Sweden straight from the US, a country where journalists suddenly have started to worry about the freedom of speech and press since Donald Trump won the election. Do you think there's a ground for this worrying?
I think that America's proper, independent, fact-based journalism is pretty safe. But I think what Barack Obama talked about, which is, the false journalism, I think we have to be very careful that that doesn't, as it were, infect and infuse the rest of our journalism. So we have to be absolutely clear that we're fact-based journalism. I think it's really interesting that Donald Trump, having berated the broadcasters, then had the interviews with other journalists on the New York Times and immediately had rolled back. So I think what I try and think about is I think we are seeing Donald Trump using his own sat-nav and keeping changing and calibrating. So we don't actually know what the real Donald Trump is yet.
No, we don't.
But I think we can be, robust in our normal skeptical criticism, and that's what we should be.
When Donald Trump had this meeting with television executives and anchors, he railed about outrageous and dishonest coverage. He called CNN liars. And
it's just nonsense.
He complained about NBC showing him with a double chin. I mean, what is this?
Get a facelift.
Yeah, why doesn't he?
I mean, I think the thing about, as journalists, that, politicians will always try and come after you and make sure they're, what's the question going to be, or can I have the last word? They're just at it. You never give an inch, because if you give an inch, they take a mile.
Yes, true. Donald Trump won, Brexit won, and here Sweden Democrats became the third biggest party in the latest election. Everyone is shocked. I mean, journalists.
Yeah, but I mean, you just won the award. You're not shocked because, you've been following this, and I think...
Yeah, but I think the main...
I think two things. First of all, I think on Donald Trump, I think that most political journalists thought that he might fall away. I think that's what they didn't see. I think that early surge, I thought that they didn't think he would have the staying power. I think perhaps that was what was misjudged. On Brexit, there was always going to be a strong Brexit vote, but I don't think that journalists realised that actually that would be the kicker, that actually it would win. I think they thought it was going to be very strong, but they didn't think it would win. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I couldn't believe that it had happened like that. We didn't expect it, but we have these pockets now. So we have London, we have Scotland, we have Northern Ireland. And Brexit, what does Brexit mean anyway? I mean, it's just a ridiculous word, but I mean, the Brexit's not clear what Brexit will actually be, and we're no further forward in that. And I'd be very surprised, I might be wrong, but I'd be very surprised if the end of March deadline for the triggering of Article 50 remains, if there's going to be proper scrutiny in Parliament. I think it's going to be hard.
But I mean, why does this happen over and over again that we get surprised? Most of us actually do. I was in the US day after, or a few days before the election, and I heard everyone on CNN talking about the reality after Hillary wins.
Everyone's sure. I'm not sure everybody was sure, to be honest, but I think people believed. They believed that it was a vote against something, not for something on both sides.
But my question is, have we lost touch with common people?
I don't think we've lost touch with people. I'm not sure we're covering those stories well enough. I think perhaps that we tried to trawl the country before the referendum, because particularly in areas where there have been former and formerly industrial areas where people were suffering without jobs and seeing a flow of immigration, it wasn't being discussed properly. And I think we tried our best on Newsnight, but I don't think perhaps we actually articulated the feelings that people had in the country. But I actually don't think the EU vote is actually particularly about the EU, whether we follow the European Court. The EU vote was a protest against often Westminster politics, starting from the Iraq War, then going on to the expenses scandal. It's been building, it's been fomenting for a while. And, you know, half of the problem, and, you know, we take Parliament out of London for half the time, that would help things as well. Westminster has to shut anyway for repairs. Take it to Birmingham, take it to Newcastle, bring it out to the people more.
Populist movements are gaining power in country after country in the Western world right now. And you're raising the question if there is a limit to our objectivity. What do you mean?
Well, I think that as journalists, there is a crime. You know, hate speak is a crime. You know, talking in racist terms is a crime. And so when you are interviewing somebody from a party that might, believe in not just limits to immigration, I don't mean that, but in certain jobs for certain people, we have to keep calling them out, because we are in dereliction of our duty if we don't. So we have to keep saying, you can't, you know, you think you might say that in television, but that's a really difficult thing to say because that is punishable by law. So we must be careful that we do not fan the flames.
But how do we oppose racism and sexism without widening the gap that we all of us talking about right now between the elite that we belong to and the common people, so to speak?
But that makes an assumption that the common people, as you put it, are sexist and racist. And I think it actually crosses, I mean, in every society you have sexism and racism, and it's not necessarily about immigration. It's really not. It's about, you know, it's about people in all aspects of society. Don't you think there's lots of racist and sexist people right at the top? I'm sure there are. It's just that it's easier to blame others.
You talk about the online world.
Yeah.
You have an idea. Tell us about that.
Well, no, I think I did a program called Blurred Lines, which was about dreadful, dreadful trolling and sexism online. And I think for most people in here, there are people that are under 30, but for most people that are over 30, the online world is an adjunct to the real world. But what we have to understand is that under 30, it is the world. They've never known anything other than it. And we still haven't found a way to navigate it at all. So, for example, with Trump will tweet stuff out, and he'll say stuff online, but as soon as he comes face to face with that person, he's not going to say the things to Obama that he said about birther movement, you know, and he's not going to say the things to Hillary that he said before. And my feeling is that the online world happens so fast that we don't have any kind of moral code. I mean, this is kind of silly, but I kind of feel when you turn on your computer, it should say, you know, we're in the online world now, please treat people with respect, because it doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen. And we use much coarser language online than we use in everyday life. And we've got to be taught not to do that, that actually that's bad stuff.
It is.
And it's inciting as well.
But speaking of alternative media and the social media, are we losing parts of our audience? Newsnight and Agenda.
I don't think we're losing the audience. They're just finding us differently and on different platforms. So, you know, we have a reasonably healthy audience at night. But what we find is that other segments of the program are picked up online, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all sorts of different things. And I think we should be thinking about that. We should be making sure that the programs that we make address that audience. But I wouldn't like to think that you think that people that are online are wanting, you know, these short segments. I think they want to come into it fast. But, you know, you take my kids, 24 and 26, they know more about the big world than I did at that age, but they also watch things like, there's never been a better time to be a long-form documentary maker. I mean, look at the documentaries, Senna, look at Blackfish. People want great documentaries. People want great journalism. They crave it now. And that's partly because there's so much rubbish journalism out there. Yeah. You know, false journalism. You know, they want fact-based journalism, and that's what you get with big documentaries.
So you're not worried at all? over
I'm quite
anything.
optimistic. And I'm quite optimistic,
Good.
actually, because
Yeah.
I think, we need a strong, free, independent press. And I really do not believe that Donald Trump talking about berating people for his double chin is going to worry CNN one little bit.
Sounds good. Kirsty Wark.
Thank you. Thank you.